Oh boy. Alright. Um, I highly doubt there are too many of you that are watching this that don't know what Katawa Shoujo is, or at least, you haven't heard me talking about it or something. Most, probably if you're watching this, you know what it is. Um, but for those of you who don't know, I'll go into a little bit of detail. Also give my history with it. So basically, Katawa Shoujo is an independent game developed by Four Leaf Studios. Sorry. Um, and it's a visual novel. Now, a visual novel is like that. It's a visual novel. It tells us it has a story that that could probably be told like in a regular book, but it's presented with animations and pictures and the ability to make choices and interact with it, and therefore like branch out into different parts of the story based on what kind of choices you make. And that and that I always like the concept of visual novels, except for the fact that they're usually focused around romance, which you know, like like 2.5 years ago I would have liked, but here recently, just the thought of them is kind of, you know. Except for Clannad, I'd play a Clannad visual novel like all day and night. I'm sorry, um, but I got introduced to this game back in like 2008 or something. Who's calling me, man? Is this something? No, I'm not gonna take that, man. That ain't for me. um, I got introduced to it back in like 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. And I wasn't really too interested in it until I remembered it, and as a joke, last year I went and I played it, or at least the demo of it that they had. Because the full version came out yesterday, and I've beaten it. Like, I literally beat it like 10 minutes ago. But, um, I played it, and wouldn't you know, it actually interested me to an extent. I was really not expecting to be as interested in the story as much as I was. I was thinking it was going to be stupid, it was going to be generic. I was like, yeah, this is made by an independent studio. Yeah, what the fuck? There are actually characters I kind of like. What the shit is this? But, so, um, I don't know. It took me by surprise, and ever since, I've kind of sort of been anticipating the actual game. Is someone seriously still calling me? I'm not answering that either, man. All these people can eat me. Um, but I was anticipating the game's release, and when it finally did come out, I played it nonstop for about 4 hours last night, and then 4 hours today. So the game all around takes you maybe about 8 to 10 hours to beat, and it and I was satisfied with it, honestly. I mean, um, I guess I better go into like who I chose and everything. Um, the the girl I chose is named Hanako. Now, back when I first played the game back last year, I didn't like her too much. And even when I started playing through the first act again, I didn't like her that much either. However, back then I slowly got more interested in her and got intrigued by her storyline. That and a combination of that and wanting to see just how far the demo went made me play through her act, and I was enjoying it for a little while. So I figured I'd continue and play through the Act One again, making the same choices and everything, and then continue along that path just to see how it was. And I don't really want to criticize anything just because like every act was written by one person. So criticizing one act, I could only criticize individual acts because none of them are written by the same people. From what I could tell, but I don't know. I feel like Hanako's act, her path was a little weak. I don't know. I didn't really feel attached to really anybody throughout the course of the whole path, except maybe Lily, but that's only because she's blonde and she's blind, and I'm blonde and I'm legally blind. So go figure. And she's probably going to be the next path I go through, but she was really the only character that showed personality more than a stick. um, I know what this game does. Like in the first act, when you're introduced to everybody, they have the generic, um, generic personalities. Not too much depth, but as you go through their paths, they start opening up more, and then their personalities start getting more and more deep and more developed, and you start getting more and more attached to them. And that was what was supposed to happen to Hanako's act, but throughout the whole thing, I didn't really feel all that attached to her, just because she is like that typical shy, pure, nervous anime girl that you see in every anime ever. Except multiply those three characteristics by like 10, and that's her. She's real nervous, she's real skittish, she won't talk to anybody, she can't say a simple sentence without stuttering. And while it was fine at first, when I got to the end of the game and she still talked like that, I felt a little bit like an asshole. Just because I was expecting her character to have developed a bit more. Like, it did develop, sure. Like, it changed quite a bit, in comparison to where she was when she started out. But it didn't really satisfy me in that regard. The ending is good. Don't get me wrong. I liked the ending. It wasn't bad. It was conclusive. It had closure, and it even like fakes you out before the actual ending. It makes it seem like it's going to be a shitty ending, but then it turns out to be a pretty good ending. I don't know, and I like that. But the journey, Cody put this the best way. A bad journey, like a good ending, won't make up for a shitty journey, and I have to agree. I didn't really enjoy going through her act as much as I felt like I should. The ending was good, but it didn't make up for how I felt regarding the rest of the act. And while I guess I'm on the subject, I'll talk about something else. Every female character in the game that you can pursue a relationship with, there's a sex scene. That's not a spoiler. It's been a known fact. I've known about it since I played the first act. Everybody has a sex scene of some sort, and Hanako was no different. It's like, I don't know. I didn't really expect anything different. However, I did expect the scene itself to kinda be not as shitty, I guess you could say. I guess people have already complained about this, but it kinda just happens out of nowhere. Like, there wasn't really any build-up. Like, of course, the scene itself had build-up, like build-up to the actual sex, but there was no build-up to the build-up, I guess, if that makes sense. Which it doesn't, like, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, but it's real hard to explain. Because in one scene, she's acting like her typical self, and then it transitions to another scene, and, like, before you know it, they're fucking. It's as awkward as it was when they introduced her as a character. And I didn't like it, and it really, like, I was getting intrigued with the story and everything up until that point, and then I'm like, well, shit. You're just, and like after that, I didn't see Hanako as much more than a one-dimensional slut. And I don't know, man. If there was an option to avoid the sex scene, like not do the stupid shit like go in the menu and disable adult content, like but just avoid it altogether. I would have done it just because like I didn't feel it. I didn't feel right. Like there was no. I guess it was supposed to like be like the sex scene you could have with um Jack on Mass Effect 2. You know, people were like, "Oh, it's not as steamy as everybody else's, but so emotionally engaging." Fuck you. I guess that's what it was trying to be, but it didn't really work at all. So I was pissed pretty badly up until the ending. But I guess that whole scene kind of sets up the whole, like every scene afterwards, like the few that there are, and it's set and like I don't know, it worked towards like what came afterwards as like a stepping stone, and I guess it was meant to be sudden to fit with the story. But I don't know, man. It still felt a little off to me, and I never really recovered. 3 phone calls in one video. 3. 3. Oh, and look, this is one I have to take. Give me a second, guys. Alright, sorry, guys. That was about 5 minutes for me, about 2 seconds for you, but that's the magic of video editing. But it, like I was saying, I guess in conclusion, I was mildly satisfied with her path as a whole, but I don't know. I don't really like the setup towards any of the more emotional scenes. I don't know. It felt odd. Like I don't think two people would really communicate in the way that the main character and Hanako did the whole path. Like, I mean, even under such circumstances, I just don't see it happening, and it kind of drew me out of the experience a couple times. And I could only see like 2 ways that the path would end, and it didn't end either, which is a good thing because it's not really that predictable. But I don't know. I mean, I'm probably pissing a couple people off if people have already played through this, but I don't hate the game as a whole. The game as a whole, I would give probably a 7 out of 10. But as her path, and it's funny because this was originally me talking about the game itself. Now I went to reviewing her path. I give hers maybe a 4 out of 10. Well, no, I'll give it a 5. That's only because of the ending. If the ending wasn't as good as it was, I'd probably give it like a fucking 2 or 3. But yeah, guys, before this gets too damn long, I'll go ahead and end it here. But let me know what you think of the game as a whole, guys, and if you've played through this path, let me know. Try not to have any spoilers. I mean, I know I've spoiled quite a bit of shit. Well, not really, not directly anyway, but like I've spoiled the fact that there's a sex scene and there's an ending. So there you go. but but yeah, guys, since I haven't said it yet, Happy New Year, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.